The Wild West. The year is 1878. We are in Dodge City, Kansas. The ground beneath your leather boots is vibrating. A massive, choking cloud of pulverized yellow dirt rises hundreds of feet into the blistering summer air, completely blotting out the morning sun. Out of that dust comes a deafening, chaotic roar, the sound of 3,000 exhausted, thirsty, and deeply agitated Texas longhorn cattle, accompanied by the sharp cracks of bullwhips and the shrill whistles of men who haven't slept in a real bed for 2 months. You are standing at the absolute chaotic epicenter of the American frontier. This is the Queen of the Cowtowns. It is a violent, cash-flush, temporary empire built entirely on beef, iron rails, and raw human endurance. Using advanced AI trained on original frontier diaries, municipal court records, and the handwritten ledgers of 19th century cattle barons, we have meticulously reconstructed the untamed reality of the West. We are plunging straight into the dust, the sweat, and the staggering economics of the cattle boom. Imagine surviving a 1,000-mile trek across hostile territory, surrendering your firearms to legendary lawmen, and navigating a town where high society Victorian capitalism violently collides with the absolute edge of the wilderness. This is 24 hours in the real Wild West. The day begins at 4:30 a.m. You are a trail boss. You are waking up exactly where you have woken up every single day for the last 8 weeks, on the hard, unyielding prairie dirt, just 3 miles south of the Dodge City limits. You roll out of your heavy wool blanket. The air is surprisingly cold, carrying the sharp, pungent scent of sagebrush, wood smoke, and thousands of closely packed animals. You walk over to the chuck wagon, the undisputed center of your roaming universe. The camp cook, affectionately and universally known as Cookie, is already awake, pulling heavy cast-iron Dutch ovens out of the glowing coals. You are handed a tin cup of boiling, impossibly thick black coffee and a plate of sourdough biscuits and salted pork. You look around your camp as the sun bleeds over the flat horizon. Your crew of drovers is saddling their horses. They do not look like the pristine, solitary heroes of dime novels. They are covered in a thick layer of alkali dust that has literally caked into their skin. And they represent the true, incredibly diverse demographic of the frontier. 1 in 3 cowboys on your crew is Mexican or African American. You have highly skilled vaqueros from south of the Rio Grande, who invented the very saddles, ropes, and riding techniques your crew uses, working right alongside freedmen who left the post-Civil War South to find absolute, unchained freedom on the open range. By 7 a.m., it is time for the most dangerous, high-stakes maneuver of the entire 2-month journey. You must drive the massive herd across the Arkansas River and directly into the holding pens of the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway. The noise is overwhelming. The longhorns, smelling the water of the river, push forward in a frantic, crushing mass of muscle and deadly 6-foot-wide horns. You ride your best cutting horse, shouting commands over the roar of the water and the bellowing cattle. A single spooked steer right now could trigger a catastrophic stampede, trampling your men and scattering your profits across the Kansas plains. You successfully push the herd into the massive, reinforced timber stockyards adjacent to the railroad tracks. Waiting for you on the elevated wooden walkways are the northern cattle buyers. These are wealthy businessmen from Chicago and New York, dressed in fine wool suits that look completely out of place in the dust. You do not negotiate with a 6-shooter. You negotiate with extreme, ruthless mathematics. You haggle over the price per head, calculating the weight the cattle lost on the trail against the booming demand for beef in the eastern cities. You strike a deal. You are handed a bank draft for thousands of dollars, an absolute fortune. You pay off your exhausted drovers in solid silver and gold eagles. The grueling 1,000-mile drive is officially over. By 11 a.m., you and your men walk into the city limits of Dodge, but Dodge City is completely legally segregated, not by race, but by the railroad tracks. This is known as the deadline. North of the tracks is the respectable side of town. It has churches, a brick courthouse, and wealthy merchants. South of the tracks is the entertainment district, the the saloons, the brothels, and the gambling halls. You cross into the northern side to deposit your bank draft. But before you can take 5 steps into town, you are confronted by the physical reality of frontier law. Standing on the wooden boardwalk is a sharply dressed man wearing a bowler hat and a tailored suit. A silver star is pinned to his vest. It might be the county sheriff, Bat Masterson, or perhaps his deputy, Wyatt Earp. They do not challenge you to a dramatic duel in the middle of the street. They calmly, firmly point to a large wooden sign nailed to a post. The carrying of firearms strictly prohibited. The real Wild West towns had incredibly strict, heavily enforced gun control laws. You cannot bring a weapon into the commercial districts. You unbuckle your gun belt, handing over your heavy, oil-smelling Colt single-action army revolver to the lawman. He hands you a brass claim ticket in return. You will get it back when you leave town. The lawmen of Dodge City are highly paid municipal employees hired by the local business owners to ensure that drunken cowboys do not shoot up the valuable real estate. They are terrifyingly efficient at keeping the peace. By 1 p.m., the blistering Kansas sun is baking the wooden storefronts. You have a pocket full of gold, and you smell like a wet horse. It is time to rejoin civilization. You walk into the local barbershop. For a man who has bathed in muddy creeks for 8 weeks, this is absolute heaven. You pay 50 cents for the full treatment. You sit in a padded leather chair. A barber wraps your face in a steaming hot towel, softening a 2-month-old beard. He uses a razor-sharp straight edge to shave you clean, massages your scalp with imported bay rum oil, and prepares a deep, scalding hot tin bath in the back room. You emerge feeling incredibly light, stripping off your stiff, sweat-stained trail clothes. You walk over to Rath & Company, one of the massive mercantile stores that supply the frontier. You buy a crisp, white linen shirt, a new silk neckerchief, and most importantly, a brand new hat. You do not buy a massive, cartoonish 10-gallon hat. You buy a practical, wide-brimmed Stetson, boss of the plains, specifically designed to catch the rain and block the brutal prairie sun. You step out onto the boardwalk looking like a wealthy, respectable cattle baron. By 3 p.m., you are navigating the astonishingly diverse, roaring economy of the town. Dodge City is a magnet for anyone seeking to reinvent themselves. You walk past a group of Exodusters, African-American families who have fled the oppressive post-Reconstruction South to claim free homesteading land in Kansas. They are buying plows and seed, building new, independent lives on the prairie. You hear the rapid, sharp German and Swedish dialects of newly arrived European immigrants who run the local bakeries and hardware stores. You also see small groups of Plains Indians, perhaps Cheyenne or Arapaho, riding into town to trade. The Indian Wars are largely ending in this specific region, forced to a halt by the sheer, overwhelming industrial expansion of the railroads. They are trading beautifully tanned buffalo robes and beadwork for coffee, sugar, and manufactured steel knives. The frontier is not just a battleground, it is a massive, shifting, incredibly complex economic intersection where the ancient world and the Industrial Revolution are colliding head-on. By 7 p.m., the sun dips below the flat horizon, painting the vast Kansas sky in streaks of violent crimson and deep purple. The temperature drops rapidly. The cattle have been loaded onto the steam trains, and your business is done. You cross back over the deadline, heading south of the railroad tracks. The atmosphere instantly shifts. The air is thick with the scent of cheap perfume, spilled beer, and the heavy, sweet smoke of imported cigars. You hear the furious mechanical plinking of out-of-tune pianos and the roaring laughter of hundreds of men. You walk through the swinging wooden doors of the legendary Long Branch Saloon. The interior is surprisingly elegant. This is not a dark, dirty shack. The Long Branch features a long, polished mahogany bar brought all the way from Chicago. There are massive glass mirrors on the walls. Because the railroad connects Dodge to the east, the bartender is not serving warm, terrible whiskey. He serves you a cold beer, chilled with massive blocks of ice cut from frozen rivers in the winter and shipped to the plains insulated in sawdust. The room is packed with drovers blowing their hard-earned wages. You walk over to the gambling tables. You do not play poker. That is a slow game. The absolute king of the frontier gambling hall is a fast, high-stakes card game called Pharaoh. You place a heavy gold eagle on the intricately painted Pharaoh board, betting against the dealer on which card will be drawn next from the wooden dealing box. The tension is electric. Fortunes are won and lost in the span of 30 seconds. The room hums with the clicking of chips, the sharp shuffling of cards, and the intense, quiet focus of men who are entirely comfortable with risk. By 11 p.m., the alcohol is heavily flowing and the inherent danger of the frontier begins to show its true face. It is not usually a dramatic high-noon shootout that claims lives here. It is the alcohol, the exhaustion, and the sudden, explosive brawls. You watch two drovers, blind drunk and arguing over a perceived slight at the Pharaoh table, suddenly erupt into violence. Chairs are smashed and fists fly. But before a knife can be drawn, the saloon doors swing violently open. The town deputies step in, wielding heavy, lead-weighted wooden clubs. They do not ask questions. They brutally, efficiently subdue the fighting men, dragging them out into the dirt to throw them into the town's wooden jail for the night. The music resumes almost immediately. In Dodge City, disruption of commerce is simply not tolerated. You finish your drink and leave the saloon, stepping out into the cool, dark night. The stars over the prairie are blindingly bright, stretching uninterrupted from horizon to horizon. You walk toward a respectable boarding house on the north side of town. You rent a private room for the night. You lie down on a real mattress, stuffed with feathers rather than prickly prairie grass. The bed does not move. There is no wind howling in your ears, and there is no fear of a midnight stampede. But as you lie there, listening to the long, mournful, heavy blast of a steam locomotive's whistle echoing across the plains, you realize a profound, inescapable truth. The world you just conquered is already dying. The very railroad that paid you for your cattle is bringing thousands of farmers and settlers to the plains. Just a few states away, a man named Joseph Glidden has recently patented a terrifying new invention, barbed wire. Soon, the settlers will string millions of miles of that wire across the open plains, permanently cutting off the ancient, endless trails. The massive cattle drives will become impossible. The vast, unmapped wilderness is being rapidly, methodically carved into perfectly square, fenced-in agricultural plots. The era of the open range, the great drives, and the booming wild cowtowns will last barely 30 years. It is a fleeting, spectacular flash of lightning in the span of human history. But tonight, the trails are still open. The longhorns are still moving, and the saloons are still roaring. You close your eyes, the dust finally washed from your skin, having survived one of the most grueling, legendary, and profoundly transformative eras the continent has ever seen. The Wild West was not a myth invented by Hollywood. It was a brief, incredibly intense reality, built on the absolute edge of human endurance. It vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, but it forged a legend of independence and grit that permanently defined the spirit of a nation. This video is brought to you by the Paladin Learn History app. Scan the QR code to learn more history.